Okay, guys, sorry about the delay. I was having some recording issues, and I have done a few things to my system here that hopefully makes this experience a little bit smoother. So, with that being said, let's get into some charts and a quick analysis here, midweek recap, and plan for the back half of the week. And going to be looking at a few bigger picture charts, but because it is late and it took me so long to get this up and running, I am going to run through this pretty quickly here and just go over a few key data points. All right, so far it seems to be working a little bit better. Okay, so, well, basically, SPY has tried to break out now several times, and that's the main, key takeaway that I'm looking at from, market structure perspective here. We were kind of throwing caution here at this potential double top, and, we have seen now the market try to break out of this balance zone multiple times, right? We tried to break out, and this is when we came in and made that high. We tried to continue and break out higher the next day, could not do it, failure back down. Came back to the bottom of the range, and then we did get a little bit of a buy reaction again. And today we had another potential gap up, and we failed back below, and we traveled all the way back into the bottom of this range once again. So now we've had three times that the bulls have tried to propel price higher and find acceptance, and have been unable to do so. But before we go any further, a quick reminder of two things. One, of course, the video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The other one that I forgot to mention is we do have non-farm payroll on Friday. And that comes out around 8:30. So we want to be cognizant of that data point, and it certainly could move the market, and we'll see how price reacts. So I also just wanted to throw that out there before we got any further. All right, so with that out of the way, the main area I am looking for, are the bulls that need to hold. And again, we're not going to see really a big move in either direction until we really find acceptance out of this range, right? And so for me, if we start finding acceptance under 453.60, 453.50, I would be looking for potential sells back down into these equal highs right around 451. 451.30 or so and change. So that would be kind of my first main downside target, a retest of this flag here that gave us this nice breakout. So that's where I would be looking to potentially see if buyers want to step in around in that area. And I'll just mark that off really quickly here so that we have it on our charts. All right, here. So gonna throw that in for us. Now, I guess, it's not really worth mentioning, but we did close below the daily 9 today. I wouldn't really put much stock into that, because, pun intended, because, it really isn't a convincing close. If we close down here by the lower part of the range or outside of the range, I would say that would be a lot more of a bearish indication, but we did not get that at all. So, um, just something to be aware of. But with this bearish engulfing candle here, I'm going to definitely be watching for at least, and what the bears want to say to keep the door open for a potential range break, is that they're going to have to stay underneath 50% of this engulfing candle, right? So as long as that happens, and that's about, I'm going to throw it out there, it's going to be right around 456. We can call it 456.25, somewhere in that area. So as long as we stay under that area, I think the door is still open for the potentiality of getting some type of possible bear flag kind of consolidation right here, right? And if we have our 50% retracement line, right, we'll just throw it up right here. So If we stay in the lower 25% quadrant, that's going to be, more of a bearish indication, but they can bring it all the way up to the 50%. And sorry, my OCD there is not going to let me keep that crooked, even though it didn't need to be perfect. But okay. So there are these two areas here where we, as long as we stay under and this, we have that door open, right, for sellers to potentially break this range. And again, that target down in that 451, 25, 30 area here would be that main target, right? Under that, and then we'll look just a little bit lower, and we're not gonna, joke ourselves as far as we're still obviously in a overall uptrend. There's nothing wrong, and we can certainly afford, I've been talking about this, a daily lower high, a weekly lower high to be put in. But the next area really is going to be, I would say, the top of this candle here from the 13th. So the lower part of this bull flag breakout, right? So that could potentially take us down into 458, no, 449. What is this? 449, 448.75, somewhere in that area. I'm going to throw that in here as well for us to keep an eye on as another potential short target, only if 451 we start accepting under that. So I would suspect that we would come in to see about the lower part of this range here. So let's keep an eye on that. So really that's the only thing I wanted to go over as far as the daily chart is concerned from this viewpoint. But there are some key levels there that I will be watching from this perspective, right? Okay, so the other only thing I wanted to go over still, we're still watching these overbought conditions here on our momentum indicator, and we are starting to still see we saw a little bit of that bullish flurry here, but now selling momentum is starting to come back into the market as we sit in these overbought conditions. So I'm going to still keep an eye on that, as well as we come into December here, some possible tax loss harvesting selling may also come into the market as we get closer to the end of the year as well. Okay, so let's start to take a look at some of our other levels here and what we could potentially take away from those different perspectives. Let's pull up the daily fibs. I don't believe too much has changed from this point of view, but I still think it would be good to reiterate this a couple of these key levels that we'll be watching from the fib perspective. If we do start to pull back, where could we potentially look for a nice long trade, right? Because we do want to generally go with the trend here and ride it. So what I'm also going to be looking at is, and we kind of brushed over this in the weekend video, this, and look at the confluence right now. Of course, this is not, I wish this was, excuse me, I wish this was happening right now. Look at the confluence with the 20 and this trend line, right? And we were talking about that potentiality of coming down and coming into this trend line here, and then possibly finding some type of a buy reaction. Maybe we come back down. But the main thing that I'm going to potentially be watching is for a potential ascending triangle to take place here, right? And then we just keep going, and then eventually we'll break out like this. So that's another path that we could take. So I'm going to be watching this trend line here very closely if we do start to sell, and this would really give us more of that daily higher low overall. Now, what would the weekly level be? The weekly level for that higher low would be coming back and retesting 438 thereabouts in that area. Maybe 440. So I'd give it maybe about a $2 range in that area here from the start of this gap, right? If this gap gets filled, then we've got kind of a bit of a supply level, excuse me, a demand level here that we could potentially work at with about a 2 point range from like 440 down to 438. But I certainly would be a buyer personally in that area. But if we do come down and we do break the bottom of that range of the bull flag that I was talking about in our last example, if we do come down here and violate this trend line, I still would also consider longs here around this 23.6, right? 446, even 446.25, another zone that I'll be keeping an eye on as well. But if we do end up breaking, we will have to watch, and it could still set up for a nice trade. But we don't know, because then we'll be below the trend line. We don't know that if when we make this move, do we see a sell reaction on this back test. That's also another potentiality. Maybe we start to create a new uptrend and start to do something like this, and then we break through. That could also potentially happen as well, but we'll have to see, what happens here. If we do reject here with some decent selling pressure, really, I don't know if we'll make a higher low here. We could just sell all the way back down into the equal lows. And then, I don't know, maybe we get some type of a double bottom, or maybe even, why is this thing still here? Or maybe even, come on, go away. And it was recording so nice before, and now it's getting being a pain again. Maybe we come down and maybe make a little inverted type of head and shoulders here, and then we have a neckline breakout, and we get something like that. So that's another potentiality. If we see a fake break there, I would watch for that as well. So there's a couple of paths here that we could take, but that 446 area definitely looks interesting to me. So there's a couple of different potential ideas for us. All right, let's keep it moving along again until I thought I had this worked out here, and it was recording so smoothly, and now I am throttling the processor once again, so I don't know. This is actually like the second or third time I've tried to do this. Let's go into the dollar here, because there are some interesting developments as far as that is concerned. And as we know, the inverse relationship between the dollar and equities. So I think that it is important to bring up, and we do normally take a look at what the dollar is doing to kind of also give us some potential clues about what's going on in the market. And so if we can pull this up, man, it was recording so smoothly. Now I'm already 13 minutes in. I'm not redoing this. So it's going to be take it or leave it. And I do apologize. I am looking at getting a new system in next year. So can't do a market buy when the market's closed anyway. And thank you. I don't. Now what's it trying to have me buy? Thing is going crazy. Okay, now, here we are, finally, the dollar. Now we're talking about this 104 level, and this is the key level that we want to see, well, at least bears or someone who's bullish on the dollar wants to see hold, right? And we were talking about that potential inverted head and shoulders setup kind of forming here on the dollar. And now we are starting to see really this momentum come back into the dollar a little bit. Let's see if we actually get a weekly close over this 104 level. If we do, then I would be targeting back up into the 104.50 area. If that in fact happens, expect more trouble in equities and selling. But as you can see here, we did recapture now the daily 20 and the daily 9. So momentum is starting to shift here a little bit in the dollar. And you can see really where we had that buy reaction around that 102.50 area here as we were talking about price coming back and retesting this trend line over the last couple of videos, and for us to watch out for potential moves in the dollar here. Did I think that we would get up this high? No, not necessarily. I thought maybe we would see some of that resistance around this 104 level, but again, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. This could just come crashing back down underneath, which technically is fine. You know, we could come back and test the daily 9. The short-term momentum is still in favor here, and also the daily 200 SMA starting to creep under price here a little bit. So that is also another interesting development as well. So yes, we could break 104, but as long as we really stay over 103.75, really not too much of an issue there for the dollar. So let's keep an eye on this, because this is one kind of canary in the coal mine that's starting to shape up, looking a little bit more constructive here, which could lead to more selling pressure in equities. But so yeah, let's see that 103.75, see if 104 closes, and if that does start to close, what else could we start to be forming here? Maybe a potential little bull flag consolidation here, and then we get our move right up, right into these next area here, into these equal highs. So we'll see, and then we'll see how price starts to react as we come into that big 104.50. We could get rejected there. So let's see. But overall, this is definitely looking a little bit more bullish now. So something to consider there. Okay, let's keep it moving along, especially because the computer again is acting like a big piece of crap. I shouldn't say bad things about her because I need her to continue to work for a little bit longer. She's not running too hot, but let me turn on. Okay, so We'll just start off with what we're opened up here. We're looking at the transports and the Dow. We were looking at this potential area of trouble we were coming into around this 15, we'll just call it 1600 basically. But to be more exact, 1580, 96. And we did see some trouble there, right? This was the retest of this structure here. These lows um, from August, and we came back up, retested that structure, and now having a hard time. But as long as we still hold over a 15, 215, 215, all is still well and good. We consider this potentially a bull flag setting up, not completely showing overbought. Not really showing momentum weakness here. So as long as that 15 to 15 holds, all good. If that starts to break underneath, I would look for more selling to come in here to the transports, come maybe down to 1500, and maybe even to come and retest the 200 here, which is sitting right around 14,825. And the Dow, it can pull all the way back, and if it does, I'd be interested in potentially being a buyer around that 35, 630 area. We come back and retest there. It could set us up for a nice move. So, and that would be more than welcome, and that would make sense, right? Just a little structure retest of the breakout, and then we make a push from there. So, two areas here I'll be watching. But if the transports start to break, and the Dow still is kind of hanging out up here, that could be another canary in the coal mine that's telling us, okay, hey, watch out. This might break down and sell. Definitely will be keeping an eye on that, because if this does break, I think that the Dow then will start to come down, and we'd be likely to see that structure retest here on the Dow. All right, let's move right along here. A couple of other things I just wanted to go over. Let's take a look at VIX, and we're not going to go over all the data points today. I thought that I did some spring cleaning here on the computer, and I thought that it would, and it was helping the computer run faster, but now it's not. Okay, so we're still kind of in this kind of complacency zone here on VIX. Again, as long as we're still kind of holding into this 1140 area, anywhere from 1140, and it can come down there to 1270, 1250. As long as we hold that, we do still have that potentiality of making a potential move back up into 1575, as we know, though, is our major pivot. So even if we come up there to that area, I'd be thinking, okay, well, maybe we can, this might set us up for a nice long trade on the back test of that area. So I have no problem if we move up here. That might set us up into the 1575. That might set us up on that daily or weekly higher low that we've been looking for, and then we look to go long. So it seems to me that VIX is kind of potentially setting up for a move to the upward direction. We could just come into there, and then we look for the long on the market, the short on VIX, and boom, we come back down, and then we'll see. Then we do it all over again, right? So we'll see. Then maybe eventually we make a move back up like this. I don't know. But either way, I like that idea if it comes up into that 1570s, 15 area, about potentially looking at that as, okay, maybe I want to go long here on the market, and I expect VIX to not be able to get over that area. So we'll see. Right now, to me, we're in a little bit of a complacency zone where I would think that VIX is trying to set up to make a move. Okay. All right, let's look at new highs versus new lows. Okay, so We didn't quite get up into that extreme area that I was looking for, closer to the 200. I think the highest reading we got was really when we were looking at this last, around that 170, 175 area. But now have seen that little bit of a pullback, pulling up a little bit here while the market actually is kind of, let's zoom in here, kind of looking a little bit soggier. Gonna be a little bit hard to see. But I wish this was, come on, it's not reacting because, all right. But I am kind of noticing a little bit of a divergence here. Come on, let me zoom in so I can show this. I am noticing a little bit of a divergence here, though, and I would say in a positive sense. You can see how this actually did have a tick up today, even though the market overall did do another false breakout. But you can see that it's picking up while the market here, obviously, as you can see, is heading down. So I would say that's a positive data point for the market there. I'll check that off in the bullish section. The fact that this is going up while market's going down, that's a bullish divergence in my opinion. Still, we're obviously watching that overbought, but you can kind of really clearly see here, and it's not textbook with the left shoulder, but gosh, if we really start to break under that range, what we were talking about earlier, looks like it could be a head and shoulders, right? We got our head, shoulder here, potential shoulder here. If we break this neckline, that's going to give us the selling. So we'll see. Either way, bullish divergence here, so I will note that. All right, let's go into VVIX really quickly, and then we're done with this. A couple of other things here on the bearish side that are looking a little bit interesting to me. One of them being here, the VIX, and we're still, the VIX futures still kind of in the same spot, popping up just a little bit, but nothing really happening as far as that. But the thing that is interesting to me is to see the VIX 9-day versus the monthly move up, right? Starting